We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast. And we're doing the Action Vision team coaching. And so in the pre-show, one of the things was, one of the actions that like Paul wanted to cover today was to how to get caught up with our clients. And so Stephen said he wasn't sure, and Homer said how to become more efficient. So a lot of times, let's start off with the efficiency first. A lot of times we look for something big with efficiencies, but a lot of the times the biggest efficiencies don't come in something big. They come in the day-to-day. They come in the day-to-day actions of what we're doing. And so my dad, as I shared in the past, he was a pastor. If he wasn't going to be a pastor when he grew up, he would have probably been an engineer. He grew up on the farm, but he had a mind. He was smart. He had a mind, and he could figure out pretty much anything. And he was real big into efficiency. I mean, big time. And so, growing up in his house, you did things the most efficient way. And so, um, and so we're always, so everything that I do is I'm always trying to find more efficient ways. How do I shave off a little bit of time here? How do I shave off a little time there? Be sure that not Bristol. They said Bristol's.
Yeah. 101 takes us.
So yes. And so one of the things that come to mind for me is 20 minutes of lost productivity. So how do we go ahead and reduce the interruptions? So here's some things that I've done in the past, seen others do as well, is you actually track little hash marks like every interruption you get. You just do a hash mark every time you get an interruption. The goal is not, obviously you'd like to have zero interruptions. The point isn't getting zero interruptions. The point is how do you go ahead and, how do you go ahead and get less interruptions than you had before? If you're averaging 6 interruptions a day, how do you get it down to 4? How do you get it down to 3? And so how do we go ahead and do that? So Albert Einstein said you can never solve a problem on the level it was created. So what does that mean? It means that we create our own problems based on how we think. And so to solve a problem, we need to go ahead and learn to think differently about that problem. Anybody have any questions on that? Do we understand conceptually, what that is? Like what we need, like what the value of doing that, how we need to do that?
You're cutting out quite a bit, Mark.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. if I do it again, we'll just go ahead and pick this up next week if we can. We'll try it again and see if this is better. And so did you guys pick up the concept of the every interruption costs 20 minutes lost productivity? Do you guys know how to implement that to try to reduce the number of interruptions that you're getting on a day-to-day basis?
I know how to implement it for me, but how do I get other people around me to implement it for me?
So there's
So I don't
something,
have so many interruptions.
right? So that's a good question, right? So there's something that's named the principle is the caught in the middle principle. And the principle goes like this. So you can draw a circle and then put line, dots around it. It's you and then everybody around you. So the principle states that if we're surrounded by weak, inefficient, ineffective people, we too will become weak and inefficient and effective. So people, when I share the principle, they go, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm surrounded by weak, inefficient, ineffective people," which I'm not saying is not true. Um, and so the key is to train other people in that principle. So every team member needs to understand. So if you can clump, the goal is to get all your interruptions. Like if you have 20 interruptions in an hour, you're not going to lose, 400 minutes because there's only 60 minutes you can lose. So you're trying to go ahead and how do I clump my interruptions together? So you train other people around you to say, hey, the best time to interrupt me or the best time to connect with me or when I can best service you is going to go ahead and be from, 11 o'clock in the morning to 1, and then from 4 to 5 or 3 to 4. So what you're doing is you time block a time for interruptions and then you try to drive everybody into it. Again, don't go ahead, don't don't think, well, Mark, that's not going to work. Henry Ford said, if you believe a thing to work, if you believe a thing to be true or believe it not to be true, either way, you're right. So it's not going to work 100% of the time. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work ever. And it's probably not going to work the way you want it to work the first day or two. In the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he researched what makes great companies. And great companies are made up of disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, and discipline in taking action. And so, how do we as a team all become more disciplined in what we're doing? And so, one of the culture is to be honest with people, and that's very hard for human beings to be. And so, um, in the book Flawless Execution by James Murphy, he talks about how you have a debrief. It's about the Air Force, and you have a debrief after every mission, and everybody's just painfully honest. You rip it off. So, how you do it, you build a culture to say, hey, this might be a better way. And then people are trained not to get defensive. It's not a personal affront, maybe, so you're open minded to what you can do. And then you come back next week and say, okay, how'd we do in that? And so, Elaine, if you're able to go ahead and jot down, that's one of the things that we want to bring up next week and say, how did we do? And then either Elaine or Nora probably will reach out to you guys sometime in the week and check up on you on this and anything else that you might have to be able to do that. Steven's number 2 is he's not sure. So what's his suggestion for that? If you move into your driver personality, So we all have different personalities. We have a primary and a secondary. So my primary personality driver, my secondary is going to be analytic. And so if you go ahead and move into your driver personality more, you're going to see more problems. And that's not bad. And so what you do is it's like you're relentless. You're relentless. You're thinking all the time. Like you're looking for, like the analytic, you're looking for problems. You're looking for problems. You're looking for, like, what can I do? You're reviewing over the notes. So you have the notes from the meeting. These are things that I said about the survey, other people said about the survey. And you might take even 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a massive amount of time, but it needs to be some amount of time that's consistent. And so you're you're like, I've got to find something that I can improve on or something we can improve on, with the company. And then Paul's, that's potentially the hardest one. If the other two are done, that should likely will help us with how do you get the customers, caught up with. So a lot of times we have to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. And so, Paul, my guess is that you could probably come up with 3 to 5 things fairly quickly on kind of what's potentially hindering you, holding you back, making it difficult to go ahead and get caught up with the customers. Would that be fair to say, Paul?
Yes.
And so if you want to email me those and come up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the next thing I would do, so I would work and say, this is what's holding me back, this and this and this and this and this and this. So again, when you look at the personalities, you're looking at to get an idea implemented in the most efficient, most effective way. You start off with the expressive first, and you just throw up. You come up with all the ideas. So you just brainstorm and throw. Don't worry, good or bad. Don't worry if they're reasonable or not. Don't worry about anything. You just brainstorm all the ideas. Then once you get all the ideas on paper or in a spreadsheet, then you go to your driver secondary. And the driver is really good. The expressives has all these ideas, see all these different things. The driver tends to be really good in being able to see, like prioritize, like what's most likely to work, at least in the short term. And then the analytic takes the best 1 or 2 ideas and breaks it down into specific details. And then the amiable is really good at execution. So if you just do the first step, Paul, and get over to Elaine and I, whatever all the ideas that you have on all the things that you think might be hindering you or holding you back, or ideas and being able to go ahead and what could help. So if you get those over, we'll do some work on that and kind of go from there. Anybody else have anything else on what you'd like to accomplish today? We all good?
Nope, I don't. Yep.
All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.